Hi, this is Barb at Random Crafty Axe, and I bet you're wondering why I have all these bits and pieces out here on my desk. Every so often, when you're making cards, it comes down to where you've got a stack of scraps and you're trying to figure out what to do with them. And so, as a part of mass making, I have come up with and followed some different people who make cards using strips and scraps and all this kind of stuff. And so that's what we're going to do today. All right, we will probably only get, I cut two backs, just in case. What we're going to do is we're going to work with these purples, okay? And we're going to do our decoration or our pattern on here. We're going to use that as that really thin 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 on the front of our card. But this is all going to get covered up. All right, so we're going to lay some pieces out to start with. Let's see how many of these long strips I've got. I've got 4. Let's start with one of these. Okay, this is called dry fitting. I'm going to dry fit at first. And then, for me, it comes to a point where I have fiddled with it as long as I can fiddle. Okay, see, those pieces aren't going to be long enough to do it that way. So put this here, and we'll put, the dark purple ones here. And then these would go here, or I could put 2 of those in there. We might get 2 cards out of this. All right, let's start gluing. There are any number of patterns you can use. I've seen people do some really intricate things with this kind of a style. And let me get that, since it tends to scoot around on the glass. I get these at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Leave the ends hang off. I'll explain why. Boy, that's really kind of thick. I don't have any that are thinner that will fit there, do I? Let's be brave. Okay. The hard part is getting this lined up. Okay, that didn't go too badly. Okay. This isn't 60. The white backing is 65 pound. These pieces that are going on the top are scrapbooking paper type weight, which I think it's probably more than 25 pound. Okay, here's the other clue. You cut these off as you go because you can fit them in on top. When you can fit them in on top when you get down into the corners. Okay, well, I'm really kind of surprised I was able to do that. These itsy bitsy little bits. I have gotten into a couple of situations where I just needed a little bitty bit in the corner, but most of the time those end up in the trash. Okay, looky there, that's cool. Okay, these are the thin strips. So let's put this one here, and you can, I avoid getting the white stuff showing on the side because of what I'm trying to accomplish by covering all of that. Now, if I was down a little further, see, I would be able to lay that there, but not yet. And here's another one. Another thing about making something with this card pattern, you don't need to be real matchy-matchy. I mean, I've seen people just like reach into their scrap bin and pull out a handful and go to it. I mean, and it's amazing that in doing it that way, see, these are short, so they'll work. It's amazing that doing it that way, that it actually still looks kind of nice. It can depend on then what you put on top for a focal point out here in the middle. And a variety of colors will look better together than you think. Normally, I would, if I'm going to make it with all solid colors, which I have done frequently since I have a lot more color cardstock scraps, what I would do is I would like pick bright shades or soft shades, or oh, look at how cute that is. Well, that's tight. You know, so like your warm greens and browns and that, and I would probably use all of those as opposed to mixing like a soft burnt orange color with a bright pink or something. Which is actually funny because I am not known for being able to match colors. That is not, under any circumstances, my strong suit. Okay. All right. Let's see, what do we have with the dark? Do we have the dark we can come back in with? This is going to be, I pulled this out because it's going to be easier to cut on here and get a small strip. Okay. And again, there's probably a way to do the math for this, and I'm not doing it because I'm just not. Okay, when I get to this point, I have a tendency to try to do a corner first. And you can slide that down till that point is right at the edge. Another thing about scraps, I mean, we've in the series overall, we've looked at how you can die cut the scraps, and how you can do patterns with them. If you're searching for it on YouTube, I think most of the time they hashtag it with as strips. But here's the other thing. There is nothing wrong with throwing them away. And I know that we like to make the most get the most bang out of our buck. And oh, looky there, that's gonna fit right there. We want to get the most bang out of our buck. We want to get the most out of the supplies that we buy. But the bottom line too is that you can only save so many little bits and pieces. And what I have in the past had a tendency to do, now I'm going to save that because I may be able to put that at the end. Remember how I said you can end up with these little bitty bits and how they just might, looky there. So we're going to need to glue this down and then leave it be so that it dries. Okay. All right, let's see what we've got to deal with this end. We don't have any more pieces that are big. I don't want to, I don't really want to do this. Okay. Just because I'm trying to impress you, if I put that there, I don't have an end cap, a good end cap. So what if I put this here? That doesn't quite work. Okay. I don't want to do that either. All right, I'll put this in. Most of the time what I do is I reach a point, like I have a day where I don't feel incredibly inspired, and so I drag all my scraps out and I sort them into envelopes, and I, divide them by size, and I divide them by color, and at that point I weed through them. I've got some paper I bought that I refer to as the paper that won't die. And it's like no matter what I do, somehow there's always one more piece of it. And anymore, when I come across those scraps, I throw them away. Most of the time, if I'm working with a paper pad, I will save all of the scraps until I get done with the paper pad, just in case. No, you can't see it, but there's just a teensy bitty, itsy bitsy bit of the white showing there. And once I get down to the end of the paper pad, what I do then is I make a decision as to how many of the scraps I'm going to keep. And if I've gone through a paper pad and I've gotten 30 cards out of it, which is not all that unusual depending on the size. Okay, now I'm not going to throw these away yet because I'm going to make another card. It looks like we've got enough pieces. Oh, not on that, Barbara Jean. Okay. And then notice we can put this on here. Okay. There's one other color we could put on the back of that. Let's see if and while the light purple would look really nice, see how the black really makes it pop? usually don't do that. Okay, we're gonna do one thing here that I don't usually do, and that is make a card backing with, is this 5.5? It is. This is 5.5. Make sure it's exactly 5.5. Okay, I don't usually make my card bases out of black, and there's a reason, and that's because since I donate my cards, they need to have white on the inside, and so we will have to get some white cardstock and put white here and here and here so that there's plenty of space for them to write on. But in this case, we're going to do this because it really makes this card look sharp. Now, what's the other thing we could do? If we wanted the black, this to be black, we could just cut this down, which if I wasn't trying to demonstrate something, I probably would have done. Okay, so let's get this 4 1/8 and 5 3/8. Okay. Now, since some of those flowers had a right side up and a wrong side, let's just see if we have like blatantly, nope, see how the hearts are sideways? Okay, let's get this. Yeah, boy, that does make that pop. And to make another one, I'll have to, and then we put this inside here. And I'll cut some more white to go there. And then this is a Thinking of You strip that can go right here. Okay. Okay, or we could have left that blank. All right. Let me check the time on the video. I don't know that you need to watch me do this one again unless I can think of another pattern. I'm going to pause. Okay, what I ended up doing with this one is I put the white on the inside and on the back so that the person at Operation Gratitude who ends up with this can write easily on the inside. Okay, so we're going to come down a size, and this is 3 3/4 by 5, all right, which should make it a little easier to get our strips to fit. Now I can already see that we are going to, maybe not. Okay, let's see what we can do. We're going to use a similar pattern. Okay, do the same thing here. I'm going to fit that right there. Okay. And then this time it's all about making the pieces fit. All right. It's the day after Memorial Day here. It sounds like the mowing has finally stopped outside, at least for a little while. This is being filmed in May, and I'm in Southern Illinois, and we have had so much rain, and so if you get a day where it's dry, you have to jump on it, because we just really have, if you wait. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece like I did the other one so that I can get that be really careful with the guillotine works. It does some things that, in my experience, the other ones don't do as far as getting nice crisp cuts, and you also don't have to replace the blade like you do with the others. And what would be really cute in the middle of this, since we don't have much in the way of flowers, is a big purple flower that we could put our sentiment in the middle of. Okay. Yep. Be careful, because I'm sitting here thinking about what dyes I have that would cut the flowers out of, and if I have enough of that dark purple to do that, because I think that's what I would want. Or maybe yellow. I was chatting online with one of the crafters I follow. She goes by the Cranky Crafter. About how there are color palettes we tend towards, and you can, if you buy a lot of pattern paper, you're going to start to see that there are some things that you just like, and that's okay. Notice that this I'm using as the backing here was from a 12 by 12 paper pack that had a bunch of sentiment stuff that I knew I wasn't going to use. Okay, this can go here. This can go here. This can go here. And then we're out. Those are white. Then it gets to be like a puzzle. I'm not very good at puzzles. I can see we're going to be throwing some of these out. Okay. Okay, let's put this piece down here. Okay. Let's put this piece. I've got this strip here I can cut. I did a video earlier and I kept cutting things the wrong size. It's like, oh no. But again, I mentioned in that video, and I'll mention here, I don't go back in and edit my videos, and so if I make a mistake, I make a mistake. And then we go back in and we figure out what do we do when we make a mistake, because I mean, you really don't want to be in a position where you're always taking something and throwing it away. I mean, so figuring out how to like shift a game plan is important. If you cut a pattern paper piece too small, you can always just downsize the mat you were going to put it on. Or if you cut the mat too small, you can do the same thing. You can cut things. Most of the templates you're working with will adjust that way. Okay, that is going to fit there. So that's what we're going to do, because we're getting kind of low on. It does mean, yes, that our ends are not the same. Probably. Well, maybe not. Let's see. and that works. Okay, and then trim this edge off. Yeah, it's really kind of pretty. Okay, so now we're going to put this one inside this piece. And then we have two options for our card bases. We have white and we have cream. I do kind of like the cream. That means that that doesn't match. Which again, not the end of the world. But I do like the cards to look nice. I mean, I like them to have nice designs and okay. Let's see, what size is this? This is 1 3/4. And I don't think this is 2 inches. Boy, just 2. Let's see if we can make this work. We're going to do it this way. I don't think it pops quite as well as it would have if it had been on a darker background. Okay. All right. I made 4 cards out of this pattern before here. I can show you. Made 4 that look like this. Let me see if I've got one more purple butterfly up there. That would kind of make that look a little bit better. I do. That's the other thing I do when I'm not feeling very inspired is I go in and I fussy cut stuff. And oh, look at that. There we go. Thinking of you, thinking of you. Okay. All right. And so all of that goes in the scrap. This goes in the trash. And I ended up actually with 6 cards out of 1 piece of pattern paper. All right, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so by clicking on the name of the channel and then clicking the subscribe button that comes up. It doesn't cost you anything, and it does help push the videos out when people do card searches or searches for card ideas. So as I'm promoting Operation Gratitude. Keep checking back and see what I'm up to. Thanks.